Welcome back to another episode of How Did They Grow? I created this podcast because I wanted you to learn how other coaches, freelancers, service providers, and course sellers are growing their business, landing 10 to 20 new clients every single month, paying them 50, 100, 200K months. See, if they've done it, you can too. And that's just the reality. And I want you to listen to these podcasts to understand what strategies are they using, what techniques are they exploring, because it's in these gems that you can apply it to your business and actually scale things up. When you're ready and you feel like you actually want to learn practical, proven methodologies, or even you want to hire a team that can build you a profitable personal brand, book in a chat with our team because we can guarantee you go viral and guarantee you get clients for your business.
And welcome to the show, guys. This is the How Did They Grow podcast. And today we have on Steve Spencer. Dr. Steve Spencer, by the way. Doctor, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for having me on, Mike. So I am actually a naturopathic doctor, and a lot of people are unfamiliar with what that is. You can basically look at it like a chiropractor on steroids, because it actually does what chiropractic promises to do. I fix 100% of orthopedic issues not related to cancer, fracture, infection in a unique process that pulls apart adhesions on the spinal cord. There's probably only about 200 to 300 people in the United States that are efficient at doing this. And as we pull apart those adhesions, the body relaxes. It takes tension off the brainstem and tension off the fascia and off the muscle tissue that allows the body to restore and heal. But not only that, we also move bones in the opposite direction of what a chiropractor would. We don't push posterior to anterior that would long-term collapse people. We move bones in the opposite direction, anterior to posterior against the wall, very lightly. It doesn't take any real force. And by doing that, the body unravels itself and fixes itself. And I got into this because I had my own suffering. It was the journey of healer, heal thyself. I had scoliosis. And so I had to find answers because I did not want to go down the path of taking drugs, having surgery. Then you lose rotation in the disc or in the vertebrae, and you go to the next surgery and the next surgery, and it keeps moving up. And I didn't want that. And I knew in my heart there had to be an answer. At the time, I was a personal trainer. But I knew there had to be an answer. So I dug deep, and I did weird stuff. I mean, I studied with shamans in other countries. I lived in Thailand for a while. I lived in Indonesia. I went to Sri Lanka. I did long distance healings with healers from Uganda. I didn't care. I was working with medicine men, the craziest stuff you've ever seen. And some of the stuff, truthfully, is actually impactful and helpful. It just wasn't everything. And so it was this journey. But the funny thing is that I became this naturopathic doctor. I actually learned a lot of these tools before I became the doctor. And I only got the doctorate for the recognition from the general public because it would stop the question, well, you're not a doctor. So I just did it. And honestly, the naturopathic way and the chiropractic way and the medical model way, valid, you do learn things, but the way to truthfully integrate things and heal on a deep level, really understand things, is you have to look at a broader model and really understand. So my whole approach to this was to engulf myself in it and become the go-to guy who understands everything. So through this and on this healing journey, what happened is I started to get my body fixed. And I started to compete in bodybuilding. But my body had always hurt its entire life, like achy and stiff muscles, didn't feel well. And one day I was driving in my car and my vision went out. And when that vision went out, I was slowly hit the brakes and I pulled over to the side of the road. And I was like, what the hell was that? So I started doing Dr. Google searches and I couldn't figure it out. I went out, but it faded back in. Like in a minute or so, it just faded back in. I was like, what in the world was that? Like, I was stressed out. I was going through a divorce. I had an investor steal my life savings because I was trying to open a gym. I wanted to have a gym and a naturopathic practice together, and the investor stole my money. So then my wife at the time decided, you're a loser. You're never going to be anything. And she's like, I'm leaving. You're too risky. I can't live my life this way. I said, okay, there's the door. Goodbye. Right. So,
yeah.
And truthfully, I believe that people come into our lives for a reason or a season or a lifetime to teach us things. So I don't hold animosity towards it or think anything negative of her. I think she was a gift and strange wrapping paper to me that woke me up to the fact that, every relationship is truthfully awakening our soul. And there's lessons to be learned. And so her leaving actually allowed me to come down with this MS and the stress that was created, that allowed me to meet Bob Miller, that taught me about methylation, that then led me to Ray Peat bioenergetics, that led me to Morley Robinson and copper and iron, right? The Cure book, and all these different things came together to actually allow me to find why all chronic illness occurs. Because truthfully, it's not taking a probiotic in the microbiome. It's not detoxing heavy metals. It's not doing parasite detoxes. It's not just doing a sauna. It's none of this crap. All the stuff you hear on social media and all the influencers have little keys and points, but they're missing the broader picture, because we are these spiritual beings having a human experience. And truthfully, to be healthy, you have to follow the flow of electrons through your mitochondria. If the electron doesn't move, you get reductive stress, you get oxidative damage, which deteriorates the cell's function. So in my case, it was an issue of several factors that were occurring. I have a GAD gene that doesn't allow me to convert my glutamate into GABA. So high glutamate levels will excite the nerves and demyelinate your nerves. But that's caused by a lot of factors. Yeah. So in order to fix this, it happened because I was like feeling achy. Felt terrible. I was coming down with something. I was down in Florida and I was breathing molecular hydrogen, and hydrogen is an H molecule. Well, hydroxyl radicals were produced from iron oxidation. So H plus OH is H2O. So it neutralized it, and I felt like rock star. I went to the gym, squatted 315. I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, I must have iron oxidation. So immediately, because I knew what was going on, I quit eating chicken, because chickens are fed seeds and grains, and those chickens are fed seeds and grains, being monostomach. Now that's higher in linoleic acid, omega-6 fat. And so that lowers hepcidin in your liver and creates unbound iron that oxidizes and rusts your cells from the inside out. So I quit eating chicken. Done. I don't eat chicken anymore. Cut it out, cold turkey, right? So I quit eating chicken. I started realizing that copper has to bind to iron. So I needed copper in my diet, and I needed retinol forms of vitamin A to activate my ceruloplasmin. So I started eating organ meat. I eat an ounce a day of raw organ meat. And so now I'm getting my copper, I'm getting my vitamin A. Then you have to activate the ceruloplasmin and sulfation process through UVA light. So I started prioritizing light. So now I'm using light. I'm taking the vitamins I need. I'm activating my ceruloplasmin. I'm getting my copper. So it binds to iron. So I make hemoglobin. My cells don't rust from the inside out. And then the body heals. Right. And now you truthfully integrated it. And you didn't just say, oh, I have MS. Let me just take NAD. Yeah. You know what happens when you take NAD? You know what NAD is?
No. What?
NAD,
I was going to ask. Yeah.
Accident. It's actually an electron. It's an electron acceptor, and so being that it is there, it reduces oxidative damage and it slows cellular aging. But again, you're taking something exogenous that your body makes endogenous. So what happens is, it actually, because you are taking it and it's a higher dose than you probably need, you actually disrupt glycolysis, which is your body's ability to convert glucose into pyruvate and make energy. So you did the exact opposite, because when you do the NAD IVs, there's a reason why you get lightheaded when you go get them done. But people are like, oh, I'm having a great effect. It's a detox effect. Right? It's like, it's right. It's not just retarded, it's full retard, right? They don't even understand what they're doing, and they think they're doing themselves good. And they're actually damaging their cellular function and their mitochondrial health. So if you want to make more NAD, all that you have to do is go in there and say, okay, I need niacin and I need sunlight, and holy shit, I make NAD. That's it. What does sunlight do? Sunlight is the UVA spectrum of sunlight. Granted, you need all the spectrums, but UVA sunlight performs that process of sulfation. So again, to make NAD, to regulate your sirtuins for longevity, you don't take them, you make your body make them. And so we expose ourselves to the sun and we eat the right nutrients. And to be honest, you don't even need to take niacin. All you have to do is eat foods that have niacin, and you have to get the sunlight along with calcium to activate your ATPase enzyme. So that way it spins, and when it spins, now your parietal cells in your stomach make HCl, and you digest your food and you get the niacin you need. And so your body makes NAD. Quite a concept. But you know what? There's not money in it, right? Where's the money in it? I can't push a product on you. But what I can do is sell you knowledge, right? I can't sell you a product. It takes my time. But I would rather truthfully make an impact in someone and I can't reach the world, right? I charge a high consult fee because I know what I'm doing. And the reason I do that is because I can't make a lot of money selling just the product. These people who are just selling products, either one, they're ignorant and they haven't learned how the body really works, and they're trying to take shortcuts. Too many people are looking for external sources to fulfill them, just like they buy consumer goods to make them happy, or they are looking for something outside them to make them healthy. Please save me, when all the tools are already within inside you, and you just have to utilize what God gave us. And so if you put the lifestyle factor, water, food, rest, exercise, mind, environment, and posture, and the mind is your subconscious mind is 98% of your thought. It's not just your conscious mind. It's what happened to you in childhood that you think is a trauma. It's your resentment towards the relationship that ended. It's the doubts that you have in yourself. It's the fears, right? The Bible tells us 365 times, do not be afraid, right? As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I have no fear. So it's that actually puts you on the path. So everything is happening for a reason, and everything unfolds to allow me the journey to be able to give to others and spread the light. Yeah. So, I just want to be that person who actually makes a real impact. And so I charge a high consult fee, and I go through people's blood work and their DNA, and I map out the flow of electrons. I tell them which free radical is causing their cellular dysfunction, and then we address that with the right lifestyle factors. And they get the answer they need. The only problem is it takes accountability. It takes work. You're not just popping a pill. So you have to eat the foods I tell you. You have to get the sunlight exposure in the morning and in the afternoon. You have to filter your water. You have to go to bed at 10 o'clock and get your sleep, right? You have to pay attention to the dirty electricity that comes out of the wall. You have to pay attention to the electromagnetic fields and the Wi-Fi from your cell phones and routers. You have to pay attention to the indoor LED lighting, right? Like LED lighting and modern civilization is one of the biggest reasons for negative health outcomes. RFK wants to blame the food, right? And they want to blame the corporations. But the truth is that light's a bigger deal. Electromagnetic fields from your cell phones and routers are a bigger deal. And the reason why they are, if you go back and read Robert Becker's book, and he goes back in the 60s and he's looking at electromagnetic fields and he's saying, these electromagnetic fields are not native and they're actually driving leukemia because it's destroying oxygen utilization. That's odd. What's going on with that? Well, it's on a cellular process. So blue light and Wi-Fi, both, what they are doing is they are displacing minerals. They're driving they're driving calcium and iron in the cell and pulling copper out, displacing the minerals, which will they'll uncouple your nitric oxide. If everybody doesn't know what nitric oxide is, it's an antioxidant that actually dilates the blood vessels. But if it's uncoupled, then it forms peroxynitrate. So now because of iron oxidation, you got hydroxyl radicals, you got peroxynitrate because of the nitric oxide uncoupling, and you got cellular damage that increases cortisol. Everyone's like, I don't know why I'm heavy, and I don't know why I'm fat, I don't know why I can't lose weight. Well, you're not sleeping, and you're blasted with electromagnetic fields. So your cortisol levels are high. That increases serotonin and gives you anxiety. That lowers your dopamine and your sex drive, and it increases your blood pressure. It also increases your appetite, makes you want to eat more because it increases ghrelin. And then on top of it, it's also going to increase histamine and cause leaky gut and autoimmune. Now it lowers estrogen, prolactin, and lactate, which we call that cancer. And then it lowers your T3 and your metabolic rate, which has to convert your liver to make your sex hormones. So everything is a perfect system design that nobody has put all the pieces together. And this is how I monetize my life. I live the life that I want. So I hunt my own food. I go in nature. I love every process. I go on crazy hunts. I'm going to Africa in April. I'm going to Hawaii in August. I was up in Alberta, northern Alberta, on the Arctic Circle hunting moose in September. right? I travel. I've been to 45 different countries. I talk to random people. I treat people in the mountains of Indonesia for free. I just ride a motorbike up there and talk and meet people, right? And so I give back. And the thing that is what it is you have to understand. Like, I'm giving people for free on social media too, and we never know how the universe is going to reward us for what we do. The universe doesn't need successful people. It needs stewards of the land. It needs healers. It needs storytellers, because that's how things really change in this world. This is how we actually bring the world back to a balanced state. And where I'm getting at with this balanced state is it's the connection with others that activates this part of the brain that regulates dopamine and oxytocin that makes us connected, right? It's a super substantial Niagara. That part of the brain is the exact thing that activates these mirror neurons that engages us with each other. So this is how you actually make money. It's engagement and trust and telling stories to engage people so that you can monetize your life and change the world through your heart, not through force and ego.
Amazing.
I hope you're enjoying this podcast. I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're learning so much practical wisdom, because that's what I really wanted from this podcast. Now, I just want to quickly say, if you're looking for a team that can actually help you explode and go viral with your personal brand with proven methodologies, I say this because I've been doing this for the past 5 years. We've got a team of 30 people who are ready to go ahead and explode your brand so you can get clients begging to work with you. Have a chat with one of our advisors. You can book in a chat using one of the links around this video, because that chat might just change your life.
And this message you've been cooking it for a long time, I assume. But I'm really curious about one thing. How you said you run a clinic, right? You help people on the ground. You said you go up to treat people in the mountains of Indonesia and all that. Amazing.
Yeah.
But like, I'm struggling to understand, how do you help people without touching them? How do you help people online? What is your process of doing that?
Cool. So, I mean, I can work remote. I can do blood work. I can do DNA, right? I can work with people that way. I cannot physically change your body and adjust you. I can't change your posture unless you come to the office. But the amazing thing is that I work with people in their subconscious mind. Their subconscious mind controls the flow of electrons. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. So when someone calls me to get on Zoom with them, I can tap into their field of energy and see what's going on in their reactive mind. And that reactive mind has had experiences that have happened early on in childhood and sometimes epigenetic in the lineage. So if this has happened epigenetic and it's in the lineage, I can actually go in there and say, hey, you have a belief system that men are going to leave you. Or you have a belief system that all women are crazy. So if you are attracting not what you want, but what you actually believe and what you are. So if you think that all women are crazy, what kind of women are you going to get in your life? And then you're stressed and you're angry and you're frustrated. You're blaming the hypergamy of that exists in our society, but you had created that experience because that's a thought of your products and beliefs. So truthfully, the money, the love, and the health are a figment of your imagination, and it's in this holographic universe that you're creating. See, I lecture about light. And the interesting thing about light is that you receive light, and the proteins in your body and the bacteria and everything are proteins. It's like 85% of your 80 or 85% of your body is proteins. Well, proteins are semiconductors. So the mind has a frequency, right? And it creates scalar waves. And those waves of light come in the proteins, like your DNA. And then the DNA is an antenna for fields of energy, magnetic fields. That's what light is. And it's emitted outside of you in a wavelength and an amplitude. Well, that wavelength and amplitude is the thing that takes atoms and forms it together. So it's E equals MC squared. I'm on Einstein's level with the theory of energy and mass influence light as C squared. And energy and mass are interchangeable. So this is where healing truly happens. It's in our mind. It's the spiritual awakening that everyone is taking ayahuasca and psychedelics to have. When you didn't have to do the psychedelics, you just had to connect with God and be centered in your heart. That's the crazy part.
Coach a couple of days ago, who was actually a psychedelics expert. She helps people experience that.
Yeah, I'm not saying people can't have a great experience doing it because they need to shut down that sensory part of their brain that's overstimulated and get into their true authentic self. But I also know people who did these psychedelics and it fucked them up really bad. Like they're not the same person, like they're shell of a person. So like it's a risk. like some people do great on them and some people don't. And I think it has to do with what genes you have and things of that nature. If you're a poor methylator, you're probably not going to detox very well, and it deals with that.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So let me kind of ask you, you said you get a lot of your clients through word of mouth, meaning that means from what anyone who says they get a lot of their clients from word of mouth, that just means that their service is the best. It is up there with the best.
Listen, my service is fire, right? It's on point because I can tell them exactly what's going on. I just have to give them put the accountability in them to have integrity and do the things, right? I know that it works because I'm testament, right? My biological age is 32 years old. I'm aging 25% slower than the average guy. So, and I'm not even living at the equator yet. So I know I'm going to improve that even more once I leave and once I move. So I'm in a transition period with growing my YouTube and my Instagram and all these things. And as that grows and I can do more work online, I will make a transition to living near the equator. But then in time, I'm just going to have this huge practice down there and treat people in the mountains near the equator, somewhere probably in Central America.
Amazing, amazing, amazing.
That was kind of what I was. Yeah, here's, and just so everybody knows that, everybody wants to have these complicated funnels and everything like that. They work, but there's different triggers and levers, and you got to pull them, and things break, and then you got to fix them, right? But I really think that acting these mirror neurons and talking to people and one-to-one is where the truth lies. And so when I go, what I do is I go to where I want to go. I'll go to a restaurant, get myself a grass-fed bison steak and some oysters. And maybe even a glass of wine once in a while, right? And so I do that, and I go there and I talk to people. I talk to people at the gym, and I'm generally interested in who they are and where they've been, and I learn from people. I don't just try to sell my service. I actually want to learn from them. I think through other people, we experience what they've been through and see the lessons, and it's through our elders we can not make the same mistakes. You gotta have a little bit of discernment. You can't listen to every person, because everybody has a different way of getting there. I was actually lecturing in Los Angeles this weekend at a conference about business, and there was 9 different guys speaking, and everybody had a different way of getting there in a different niche, right? One guy is doing landing pages. Another guy is doing complex funnels of advertisement. Another guy is doing sales, right? And another guy is doing mergers and acquisitions. Now, I'm well off. I'm not making, I'm not doing mergers and acquisitions making $30 million a year. But I would venture to say I have a better quality of life because I'm enjoying, right? And he's enjoying his life too. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's out traveling, doing crazy stuff. But what happens if he loses his money or one of those levers breaks, and then he's hemorrhaging money because the pixel broke, and he's hemorrhaging $1 million a week? He's in trouble. Right? He's got a complex system, a lot of overhead. I don't. I just talk to people and help people. I don't spend everything I make, and I invest it and diversify it. And eventually, in a few years, you got a few $1 million. And then if you move to Central America, you don't even need that much, right? If you got several $1 million, right? I could move now if I wanted, but I want to be solid. My goal is 10 million, right? Once I hit 10 million, I'm out. And I'm going to live in South America and I'm going to be like John of God living in the mountains, right? So I'm going to live in the mountains and just heal people, right? Grow my own food, hunt my own food, be a hippie, play the guitar.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. You mentioned Africa. What part of Africa you want to go to?
I'm going to Africa. I'm going to South Africa to go hunting in April. Yeah, I'm going to get one of those spiral horned antelopes. Unfortunately, you can't bring the meat back. It's just a trophy. And you have to donate it to one of the local tribes. So you donate the meat, and then we're going to spend an extra 4 or 5 days and go to one of the safaris. Kalahari.
Amazing.
It's a national park that's there.
This is all really amazing. This is all really amazing. What would you say is that's the big goal for you in 2025, just being able to just go away and do all that?
Can you say it again?
I said all this is amazing, in terms of your goals for 2025, you being able to get. You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh yeah, I'm saying all this is amazing in terms of you just stating your goals, you being able to get to that point where you can just move to South America or Africa and just live your life comfortably and never have to worry about that stuff again.
No, I'll never have to, right? You create what you think.
Amazing. And you said something too about what did you say? Like you're not making $3 million a year, but you're making good enough money and you're happy doing it. So you're way better off than those guys. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. But a lot of people think 20 to 30 grand a month isn't a lot. But there's also people who think that is a lot. It's perspective.
Exactly. It's perspective.
Right? I'm not flying private jets. But I do get to drive a Benz and I drive an armored truck and I'm restoring an old Land Rover. So, what do you want in life? I kind of would like to have freedom and happiness.
Yeah, that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
Yeah. Right.
I think we've kind of come full circle here. What do you think is like something you wish I asked you on this one?
What would I like to have answered?
No, I said we've kind of come full circle here. Is there anything you kind of like wish I asked you or anything I missed?
I don't think so. I mean, I'd like to leave people with the understanding that you have more control over your life than what you even realize. And as you love the world, it will love you back, but it all starts within you. So the changes you wish to make, it's time to stop escaping through drugs and alcohol and numbing yourself with porn and numbing yourself with television and sports. And it's time to start integrating, because as you integrate, you create the life you want and you don't need to escape it anymore.
What does that mean?
Well, if you're like, escapism is you don't like the life you live.
Integrate. What do you mean by integrate is what I meant.
Oh, integrate. So when I talk about integrating, it's time to start understanding that your thoughts control your cellular biology and then control your life. So your thoughts, like disease in the mind becomes disease in your body and also becomes disease in your life, right? It's being uncomfortable in your life. So if you're uncomfortable in your life, it's like this message that God is telling you to step forward. So I want people to just take the steps and not judge the situations. It's not a prison sentence you're in. It's just an experience, right? I had MS, I had Lyme disease, I had scoliosis, and I addressed it all, right? I lost everything at 36, and I have a couple $1 million, right? So like what you're going through at the moment is impermanent, and you just had to develop yourself and become the man that's supposed to walk through the door. So integrate what's actually happening and become that. You want to become the person. No, that's not what I want to say. You want to feel the emotion in the experience before it happens. Let the universe just bring it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's an amazing message. Where can the people go to find out and learn more about what you do?
They can follow me on Instagram at Steve Spencer ND. I'm on YouTube as Pro Touch Rehab / Steven Spencer. And then my website is protouchrehab.com. And I do have some products on there that I do recommend is for photobiomodulation and for antibodies for the gut health and some postural devices that help you sit up straighter.
Amazing. This is all really amazing. Hopefully we can have you on some other time, Steven.
All right, that'd be great. Thanks, Mike.
I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. I want you to go away and execute everything there is that you've learned. Now, one thing I will say is if you're in a position where you're ready to actually take things to another level, you want structured, clear guidance.